Welcome to our next adventure with Chemology 411, a podcast about anything and everything. Kim and her guests will take you behind the scenes, behind the story, or behind the bar. So sit back. Make sure your seatbelt is fastened, tray table in its upright position, all carry-ons stored under the seats. But for this adventure, electronic devices must remain on, as we are ready to take off on our next adventure. Introducing Kim Schultz and Chemology 411.
Welcome to Chemology 411. This episode, we're going to talk about why being positive is not always 100% positive. I don't know if that makes any sense, but we're going to try to make some sense of it. I am Kim Schultz, and I am your adventure coordinator for this show. Let's say hi to my co-host, Tyson Harley. Are you in a positive mood today?
Oh boy!
Yay!
So I actually am in a positive mood because my deal is to sometimes go to the library and do a little work on this whole, rundown thing. So I feel like we've got the show rundown. That sounded weird. The rundown for the show, the listing of things we're going to cover and try to do a little work. I feel like we probably have some pretty good material.
Yes.
So, yes, I am feeling fairly positive. Can I give you a few quick hits about what's going on before we go into our main topics? Okay, let's see. Number one. First of all, this may or may not be recent by the time you listen, but I think you'll still get it. I don't know how much you want to go with. I just want you all to consider the possibility, America. Oh, outraged country that you are. What if she asked for the bike?
What if she asks for the bike?
What if she asked for the bike?
What does that mean?
Peloton!
Oh, he is so excited.
The most recent outrage, and I think it's funny. I actually had the fun time with it. If you don't know the Peloton,
no, I have no clue what you're talking about.
The Peloton bike thing. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so good looking. Oh, look at my big brown eyes. I couldn't believe how much of a change it made.
You mean the girl that you're in a crush that you have a crush with?
How could you not be? But
didn't you say that you wanted to order one of each of them?
Yeah, I'd like. But anyway, supposedly people are like, that's awkward. It's like, that's not very nice. And it's taken on a life of its own, like even parody commercials and stuff. Oh, yeah. But I just want, and it is funny. It is kind of funny just to think of the idea that she never wanted the bike to begin with. She's in this horrible, abusive relationship. And did you see that there's a Scotch commercial out there that is supposedly some Scotch company related to Ryan Reynolds? And it's just, she's at a bar with her girlfriends, and they're just kind of silent. And no, you drink that scotch. And I just want you to know you look great. It's just like most of 45 seconds of silence, and you're like, that woman, that's the Peloton woman.
You have an obsession.
So but anyway, it was a thing. And then, of course, I've always thought, it does seem kind of weird. Like, what are you video logging? Your husband's going to see you every day. Right. Why are you like, hey, look at me, I ride my bike still. Still pretty. And then someone's like, so supposedly some guy's been panning the Peloton commercials. So much so, like on Twitter, that he's been like, I hate to be the Peloton guy again, but that commercial where the woman gets the Peloton so that she can go from a 116-pound woman to a 112-pound woman in a year is ridiculous. Right?
Right.
But yeah, I thought for America, what if she asked for the bike? But as an ad of someone who used to write commercials, you got to think of that. Right? Because you don't want to make it appear like this guy is being a jerk. And all they would have had to do is have some quick little 3-second snippet of her like pointing to a Peloton ad. Right. And it would have changed everything. See how that works? Yeah. Maybe some people would have ignored it. Okay, number 2. I was at the library because I was doing the rundown stuff. And I tell you, man, it can really affect, like, just depending on your outlook, how much you can handle, like, even sounds at the library. Right. Like, what is the etiquette? And we're not in the library like the shh, you're in elementary, but some of those areas, people can get pretty loud. It's like, how loud, even the adults, so definitely had, like, and then I had it, this is old fella. I'm talking old fella. And he came over with his cart, and I felt like kind of claustrophobic, shut in, because the cart was like right near my, I'm like trying to click and pay attention to my own computer.
Right.
And he's like, and sure enough, that poor old guy took like 2 minutes to set down.
Aww.
And then 2 minutes to get back into his cart. He was like, I just can't, It just sounded just like you'd expect. But anyway, yeah, the library visit was quite interesting.
Well,
what is that middle ground for etiquette? It's like, it kind of depends on whether you're stressed or not, whether you're being positive or not.
Right.
Can really affect how much you can deal with that surrounding sound.
But also, it's probably something that kids nowadays, remember we talked about what they don't remember is they don't remember when you used to go to the library, you were quiet. And there was a kids section and the kids could play over there. But if you went into the adult section, it was quiet. And they would go, shh, like, the library.
Well,
and now they've changed it to where they have I think it's Hills, or they've got some sponsored room, and it's just like absolutely quiet. Like there's no talking. So they tell you can't talk in this room.
But the rest of it, almost
the rest of it is just kind of like a gathering.
But this was just adults
now.
even talking, great taking
Right.
phones. Other thing, I was at Wendy's the other day getting a 4 for $4. I like Wendy's. I was adopted. Wendy's supports adoption.
And 4 for $4. What did you get with this 4 for $4?
Well, it's just one of their deals. I got 5 for $5 as well. So I go to Wendy's, and then I'm waiting. This young lady is taking my order, and I look, and it says $4.52 before tax. I may not have noticed, except that the total came to almost $5. I know taxes are high, but they ain't that high.
Right.
So I'm like, excuse me, so... can you tell me why the 4 for $4 is coming to, you'll notice it came to $4.52 or $4.53 before tax. And she goes, honestly, I have no idea. And then she goes, Jessica! I'm like, okay. She's pointing out into the restaurant, and Jessica's gonna come solve this. Right. Nope, that's all the thought. That was whose food was ready.
Oh.
I mean, honestly, I have no idea.
Yeah,
that was it. And I'm like, I guess I'm paying $4.50 instead of $4 today. I'm like, shouldn't that have come to your mind by then? $4,
right.
$4.50, $4. Yeah. Maybe you'd like to work on that to get that solved.
Right.
I wonder if it at least it was a bookmarked in her mind after that. Probably not.
No. Nope, it wasn't.
Probably not.
She was probably thinking to herself, it's 52 cents, sir. Really? 52 cents? I'd be like, I need my 52 cents plus tax back.
Besides that, just logically. But so I'm on the way here. This time I don't tell you I'm on the way and getting snacks, because that's turning into it. Like, how long does it take you to get snacks, buddy? So I'm at a local grocery store.
Grocery shopping
in your area of town, which is not my local grocery store. And I go in and out. And what's going on right now? I don't know if you know, there's a big holiday coming up soon.
What?
Yeah. So at the outside of grocery stores, what do you have?
You have the bell ringers.
Ding, and I never have cash.
Nope.
And it's the same thing for restaurants. Like, ideally, you should have cash because they don't have to report all the tips for cash.
Right.
There's not as good of a record for it. Uh-huh. So they can make a little bit more money, because they don't make very good money unless they get tips. In fact, they make bad money unless they get tips. But,
correct.
So I'd never have it for that either. So I go, you know what, I'm going in here, I'm going to grab some cash. Sure enough, because I thought, the difference between these bell ringers and Tyson, these people are good people.
Right.
That's the difference. So, you should give...
So you're not a good person.
Precisely. So you should incentivize people who are being good to continue to be good.
Right.
And I just think, just to support them a little bit, just so they boost their morale. Even if you just have a buck. Even if you just have a buck. And so sure enough, I bought something, and I'm walking out, and I go, and I didn't get the money out. So I went back and got those 2 Snickers, one of which I already offered you, and you said no. So I did the old turnaround. And then one other thing really quickly around this season. Did you see what was across the way from your little grocery store?
It's my tree lot. It's like a Hallmark tree lot.
It's like a little tree lot.
It's
it's lit up at night. They got the lights right above it.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
It's nothing like a Hallmark one though, because it's literally just like a little baby trailer and then like some trees, and it's like an Optimist or something that's selling them.
It's just adorable.
It's been there since I've lived here. It's been there for 50 years.
Yeah, I'm not usually on this street like just my regular.
You're not over in the hood.
I don't know about all that. I mean, relax, lady.
My mansion is not in the hood.
Yeah, not exactly. But I just thought that was adorable. And it's more easy for me to be okay with the holiday coming up because we haven't had real bad weather yet. It's whatever, 40, 45.
Oh my gosh, today I didn't even have to put a coat on. And I was like, this is my winter. Yeah. Like I went out and I went to the
cold
gym
enough
and
so you know it's winter.
Yeah, it's winter, but
not...
it's I had my workout clothes on. I didn't have to put a coat on over top of it because I went this afternoon because my morning got messed up with a 6:40 in the morning text message that woke me up, and that just made me mad. So then I went back to sleep and slept till 8, and I wanted to get up at 7:30. What?
Airplane mode.
Yeah. I can't do that because there might be an emergency deal. It's not an emergency at 6:40. So
if there's an emergency deal, guess what? People know where I live.
You know where you live.
They're knocking on my windows, and I'm like, okay, someone's serious. There is something to attend to.
So I got up, but I didn't get to go to that. So then I went to my meeting that I go to every Wednesday. And I guess I'll just talk about it right now. We are going to have an excursion to this episode, and it's going to be that meeting. Because at that meeting last week, I talked about how easy and how much fun doing the podcasts are. So we actually did like a little podcast with 2 of the business owners that were in there, and they just kind of talked about how awesome I am. So, I mean...
So it's one of those things where the idea that in the 21st century, how do you... You know, I've always thought that the whole personality thing, as opposed to the product, traditionally, 20 years ago, I would have said, just give a good product. But in this day and age, anything that differentiates you and gives you some kind of, if you will, a niche or a fan base, a loyal fan base, and that's where podcasts can come in. So that's probably an interesting excursion.
It will be. So I'll get that up.
And then you also said you put up some other stuff recently. Just FYI.
I just did. I did the excursion for the last 2 episodes. We talked about living nativity scenes, which you love. And then we also talked about, what was the other one that we talked about?
Oh, yeah, Misheard Lyrics.
Misheard Lyrics, yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
That is hilarious.
That was Tyson rantliciousness right there.
Especially when I'm going to go ahead and get my Satellite Blue house.
Yeah, so look for those I said diversions again.
You know, if you didn't go to court so much and get in so much trouble...
Excursions, they're going to be up. So, and then pretty soon it'll be time for Christmas break. So we're going to have to record a couple in advance. And
yep, and we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions, and we're going to talk about Christmas, like the year in review, I think. And I am going to start working on something about the first one for January will be about starting a business, some things like that. And then I'm going to start doing my minimum wage of $15 an hour. I'm going to do that breakdown. We're going to have that talk probably in the middle of January. I just want people to understand how it affects everybody. Because everybody's they just think a big number because they're making $9 an hour and they're thinking $15 an hour. And I want to break that down and showing how much more it costed and all that kind of stuff. So
it's complex. It's complex. And I'd agree that I would be into listening and discussing those complexities. And both for and against or you know, if you shoot down a particular idea doesn't mean that you don't think there are other ways to solve the same issue. And I mean, everybody who doesn't make $3 billion, who isn't worth $3 billion, does believe in more equitable distribution of income, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not like... But so that excites me. And is that with the rundown that I saw that was skeletal, or that was a different one?
No, that's like the 4th one. There's 3 of them that are on there. The third one that we'll do is the business. because it's a new year. And I notice a lot of people decide they want to start opening up businesses. So we're going to go over that as well. But that'll all be next week. We'll be recording those. I'm going to need a little bit of time to update my data for the minimum wage one, because
Gotcha.
I've got some really good information on that one. So we're going to start this episode is going to be brought to you by a positive attitude. Okay, maybe not. Right now we have like this huge thing going through. I think it's because we just see so much bad things, because we have so many outlets of finding different things, that now everybody has this positive attitude. What do you call it when you're like, it's a movement, positive attitude movement. And another one that my business coach always stresses is gratitude. And gratitude and positive attitude are, they kind of rhyme, but two totally different things. So I'm not really talking about the gratitude part. What I am talking about is this positive of everybody thinking that they have to be positive all the time, and how that really isn't, it just isn't healthy, and it isn't real. And so I wanted to clarify in chemology terms, like, I am the most positive person that I know. I am 110% positive 80% of the time.
That's good.
Because,
I mean, give or take the math. Go ahead.
because I really work very hard to help everybody around me. And so I was looking through some different things that I found, and I went to dailygreatness.co, whatever that even means. And the very first thing that popped up to me on the website, it says, being overly positive and refusing to look at what's not going well, has a destructive downside that leads to avoiding the truth. Mm-hmm. And so when we deal with all these negative things in our life, and we deal with the positive things in our life, I do believe that people really should focus on to be positive, but that doesn't mean that we have to be happy all the time. It's not what that means. It doesn't mean that every comment is this bubbly, bubbly, bubbly. I'm so happy. Oh my God. My boyfriend is so awesome. He is so awesome. I love him so much. I love him so much.
Yeah. So I'll go over some of but to your point, some of the things that I found, but one of the main themes is there's two things that you just said that I found a lot of in articles and stuff, as long as I remember both of them. One of them is, yeah, if you're so focused on being happy all the time, then that becomes the pressure itself. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm not happy. What's wrong with me? And then it's kind of counterproductive or specific. And the other thing that you said is positivity shouldn't mean that you're refusing to see accurately what's in front of you.
Correct.
Right? So continue.
And I think that you get, when you have like some positive thinking, and you've got like personal, you've got spiritual, and then you've got social. And that can numb you into a false sense of okayness. Like if you believe that if you don't be positive, everybody's going to come down on you, then you're fake positive. And that's not, fake positive equals negative. It's just chemology
math.
Then
it's the pressure, right? I mean, it's not the same thing. Whereas I said it to me, but yeah, one thing I found is that that I thought is, what do people think? You're not got to be positive all the time. It's like, yeah, but that's kind of your own self pressure,
right? And
if there's a fine balance. Like if you're known as the positive person, well, that's true, but that doesn't mean you don't want to put that, add to that and act like you can never be, negative. It's definitely a fine balance there.
Well, and I'm positive all the time, so I push things forward. People push back at me, and I'm positive about things that are going to happen. Not today, not like I'm positive. I'm so happy that I have running water in my house. That's not what I'm thinking about. Is I'm positive for something that's going to happen in the future. I can see it, and I believe that we should be positive and we should be happy about whatever it is, and it's going to happen. No, it's not going to happen. Never going to happen. No, we're going to vote in for the very first black president. No, we're not. We're not going to do it. Nobody would ever do that. Well, yeah, we are. We're going to do, nope, we're not going to do it. So you've got this negative person, and I'm trying to push the positive agenda. It gets exhausting after a while. So am I going to fight this negative person? No, I'm not. I'm just going to be like, you think your way, I'm going to think my way, and you're wrong, I'm right, and I'm going to move on. And so a lot of people, I guess they don't really understand what it means to be positive. It doesn't mean that everything you do is happy. It doesn't mean that every minute of the day you're in this bubbly mood, because I can find out that I know a lot of those people that are in those bubbly moods, they are the most grouchiest people behind the scenes. And I know that I've had to go. The other day there was an event and I knew who was going to be there, and I just didn't have it in me to go because I had no positive left. Like, I just thought, I don't want to have to go and be the Kim that they expect to be. And so I didn't go. And then I'm thinking, but I missed out on a great time, and I'm sure I would have had a good time. But I put that pressure on myself because this is what I have done. This is what my persona that I have built for this particular group. And that's mine. But somebody always has to be that happy-go-lucky person, and it can't always be the same person. I mean, reality is that positive is infectious. So if you walk into a room and you are, and they're kind of like, people are getting laid off at work, and someone comes in and kind of like tries to lighten the mood, and they're the jokester and they're the positive person, they can get a little bit of people like getting that easiness out of them or whatever. But it's just hard to know when and how to say that, and sometimes it's just not even supposed to happen. Let everybody feel sad. Let everybody be down. It's not the fact that everybody has to be happy all the time, but you have to know when to work through it to find something positive or find something better than what you're going through.
And one thing that we were thinking of is that when you hear, and it is kind of, you can go find all kinds of even books now. I mean, I call them counter-programming books to all the positive books. Bright-Sighted, Barbara Eisenreich, Rethinking Positive Thinking by Gabrielle Oettingen, and blah, 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 and The Upside of Your Dark Side, things like that. But what you got to do, be careful not to do, is miss nuance. And one of the things is that most of these people who are very positive, just think of Tony Robbins or
right.
Zig Ziglar back in the day. But any of those books, most of them had a plan too, right?
Right.
And it's not that so we don't want to minimize it. If you took that type of program, and I think those types of people are very valuable. Like if you read those books and you just pick one. So the thing is, so many people who don't get organized, including myself, it's like there's so many options. You start with one, but you don't really stick with one. So those types of positive, life coaching type self-help books are more than almost always more than just be happy, be positive. It's have a plan.
It is.
And because you have a plan, you have some small goals to look for, and then see yourself. So we don't mean to be saying that those types of self-help gurus, and I don't mean that in any negative sense, are to be dismissed either. It's just that's nuances of the positivity and what is and what isn't positivity. Right.
The thing is that being a positive person does take a plan, and it is achieving goals, and that's what truly makes you a happy person. So you're out and you want to buy a house, and you go and you find a house, and you find that great house, and you buy that house in your positive mood, but all the way up to that house might not be exactly positive. You get married, you find the one that you love, you're going to be in love forever, but it's not always positive. You have to work to make things have a positive outcome. And so, or it's kind of like your mindset of What I totally believe is when you are positive, more positive things happen to you. And I think that this gets into my spirituality of you open your mind up for bigger possibilities. But that doesn't mean that, like, it's going to be an easy road and you just get there.
Right.
You know, so one of the examples that they had said is, you know what? I'm fine. I have enough money. I don't need more money. I'm perfectly content where I'm at. And if you keep telling yourself that, your brain goes, you know what? They don't need a raise. They don't need a better job. They don't need a better job offer. And so with my coach, that's one of the things is we always talk about don't talk negative. When you're purposely trying to self-help yourself, you say, I can always use more money.
Yeah. So what you're saying is even avoid the neutral that is stale language.
Right, yeah.
And I found something similarly where he says, there's a difference between, or I may have made that point, but then I found a quote on it. There's a difference between I'm not going to worry about it, everything's fine, versus positivity and a strategy.
Correct.
So there's this kind of neutrality also, as opposed to you're not being positive, you're not being negative. You're like, whatever, it's all cool. And for instance, like I think this is a quote: positive thinking can also become a way of avoiding necessary action, and which this person sees in many male clients in their early 20s. People might say everything's fine, even when it's not. It's a way of convincing ourselves we're doing something about a given situation, a crappy job, a looming deadline, an issue with a partner, without actually doing anything. No, it's all good. And, positivity sometimes, like I said, it's a distinction between deciding to progress and having a strategy and thinking towards progression as opposed to just kind of, hey, I don't feel negative and everything's carefree. I mean, that's still, it's better than waking up and thinking of all the bad things in life, which we'll get to.
Right.
But it's not necessarily the same thing as, like you said, opening up your mind to the possibilities.
Right.
Hey, whatever, I make 60 and 60's good, and well, that's fine. I'm glad that you're happy that way, but
I'm always open for more money.
Yeah.
I'm open for more clients. I would never say I'm perfectly content and I'm very happy with the number of clients I have, because I could probably double them and I'd still be able to say I'm not happy, but I don't want to use the word not. When you're working on yourself, but you can use the word I'm not happy if you're at the restaurant and you get bad service and the waitress is not doing it, or the waiter's not doing their job correctly, and you don't have to be like, oh my gosh, well, I'm just going to continue to be positive because they're just had a bad day and I'm just going to be happy. That's not even, I don't even know if you could really do that. But then someone is with you and they're just like this, you know what? Calm down. It's okay.
Get the calm down part.
Then again, no one has ever been in the car with me while I drive. Oh, I've got the worst road rage, and there's nothing positive happening in my car.
And there's something about in your car where you feel like, well, so I realized a long time ago as a guy, you forget that if you use your outside voice, it can be scary to half the population. Right? It's like, okay, what is he about to break? I hope it's not me.
Right.
And I could know, no, I'm not going to break you, but they don't know that.
No.
So it's almost like it's your little place to go just to act crazy and fume.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
As long as you don't just, actually go bumper cars.
I'm not, but I just scream on the, my friend was on the phone with me today, and it was just funny because her and I are exact in the car. And so I can hear myself when she's driving, and she's like this, oh no, that's okay. You can go 55. I mean, it's 70 miles an hour, but you just take your sweet ass time in the left lane. I don't have any place to go. Oh, now we're going to go 50. But she's screaming this at them. And she was like this, I need to get off the phone so I can concentrate.
Concentrate on the
screaming. So, I mean, you do have to have stress relievers every once in a while. But anyway, so so when it comes to that, I think that there's like two different types. And I have people who work to make things better and spend more time being positive, but still encounter the negative. But instead of just talking about it, they work to improve it. I believe that's who I see myself, because when you are involved in so many different things, and even at work, when you get put into new projects and bad things happen, are you the person that just goes, that isn't going to work, oh gosh darn, there's no way we can do that? Or you're the person that says, you know what, that's not going to work, but let's go over and try this. And that's kind of what I am. But that's still, I'm not necessarily in this, I'm not necessarily being positive, because I might be telling someone, you're a complete idiot. This is not going to work, and this is how it's going to work. So once again, you're doing great work, but that positive thing is just kind of overstated of, I am moving in a positive direction, but there might be a disagreement happening here.
Right. Part of positivity, I think, it's almost like, well, is this affirmatively positivity, or is it just, because there are people who just give up too. They're like, whatever. If you don't want this project to work, I'm not going to be the one to rock the boat, even though I know what's better. So I don't know if that's positivity or just still trying to see things through to the end. Right. That, okay, we're doing this wrong and it's not the right way to do it. And if we want to have good results, is that a positivity? I mean, applied, or is it just being stubborn? I mean, I don't know.
But and I guess that it would also, so it depends on who's looking at what they believe is positive. Because in my mind, if someone does not know what they're doing and they're totally screwing everything up, and me and the team can get it done, and they're just going to slow us down, and they say, you know what, you guys, this is out of my skill, I'm going to step out of here. That is positive for me, right. But they're giving up, so it's really not positive for them. So
yeah, I meant giving up as to knowing that you know a way to do it better, and it's a fairly obvious way, but it's the momentum of the institution is like, okay, well, we'll never get this right, so whatever. I'm not going to try to fix it this time because we haven't fixed it the last 5 times. And this is a related topic, and I have some studies I just thought had some interesting things too. But another thing you can attest in my personal Facebook, another thing that you got to be careful with, and it goes more towards avoiding negativity as much as what is true and false positivity. But we can quickly get into, and if we have that negative self-talk, is that before we know it, almost unconsciously, if the right things happen, you assume a situation is going to become like that situation that you don't even necessarily think consciously about that happened before that was kind of traumatic to you. And I don't even mean traumatic in like some, women's situations where there's been abuse or anything like that, but just where something bad happened, like you got really called out at work even though you were doing the right thing or something like that. Right. So you can attest, I had a status recently where I'm like, I can't believe this, and this is... Anyway, it happened on a Friday afternoon where I thought, while trying to do the best possible job I could do for the people that I serve at my job, that someone was basically slapping my wrist on doing that. And all weekend I was fuming. And then come Monday, I didn't try to extend the negativity, because sometimes it's like, well, you got to be careful and just be more diplomatic in how you deal with what your internal negativity was, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes if you're diplomatic in the way you finally deal with it and think about it, then it snuffs it out. Right. Right. And so I overreacted.
Did you have a pity party?
No, I just mean I overreacted on the weekend. Okay. Like, this is awful. I shouldn't be here. I don't mean in my life. I mean in the job. And then come Monday, I'm like, I did have a couple days to think, how do I do this? And I just did it in the most diplomatic, simple way. Do you ever like write not as much for you, but people are in office environments. You like write that 20-line email and then you go, backspace. And
I delete.
Well, luckily I had that whole weekend to think through that, and I just literally sent I apologize. I thought I was supposed to do this. I see your alternate approach. Everything is approved, because I was approving or not approving something, and for a very good reason. But part of it too was that I had gone off with I saw a part of a pattern, and I'd been in that situation before where I tried to be the person who sticks to standards and holds up things, and then it didn't work. And I wasn't even fully informed, really. And so sometimes we fall into those negative habits. Not even so much a habit, it's that something negative happened. And before we know it, we're almost unconsciously reacting to that. And part of positivity is to, in a way, just to stop yourself before you go sliding way over to that negative, almost autopilot.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just thought that was an interesting related type of a thing that literally just happened to me.
I mean, that's exactly it, because I have a habit of speaking my mind, and it's not always a positive thing because the person that I am talking about is not being positive. So the conversation is negative because of someone else's actions. But I come across because people honestly don't want the truth. They want you to sugarcoat stuff. I can't do that.
Well, the problem is when about social media, what is it? It's like, it's one thing for you to deal with whatever you're saying and being positive to one person at a time.
Right.
But any given moment, you have to deal with, hey, I'm trying to be positive and setting out certain thing, and any number of, for you, I've got to think it's in the thousands. For me, it's only in the hundreds.
10,000, yeah.
You know, any one of those could come back with that whole, well, that's not what I meant, buddy.
Right.
Okay, we don't have to start talking about some little thing that you can talk about that's semi-related that's negative. You can see clearly I'm trying to be a positive person here, and you get the tone, you get the context, and you're just totally going off on your own little rabbit hole.
So the second person, so the first one I believe is more me, is the people who worked to make things better, spend more time being positive, but they still encounter the negative and they try to improve. They see it. But then you also have the second type that I believe that just dwells in the negative and does nothing to try to ever make things better. And I mean, like, they have the VIP card at Party Central, and down the pity party aisle, they get the buy one get one free pity party decorations. They go home. That's what I
wasn't tracking it first.
Exactly. So, like, yeah, I know Carol at the party store. I've bought a few pity parties before, but reality is we have those negatives. So, and as you were talking about it, this is true. I literally had a client meeting at a restaurant. I took a picture of my food because that's what I do. And if you're listening to this podcast, be friends with me on Facebook. I'm going to take pictures when I travel because I work very closely with restaurants. All right. So I take pictures, and I said, had a great meeting today at this place. I love my clients, and that's all it was. And all of a sudden, one of my negative Nellies brought back in about this bad thing happened. I'm never going that place. I'm not doing this. This place sucks. Negative, 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 negative. And the next thing I know is the person I had the meeting with is arguing with them. And then another person is brought into it. And they're just, they're telling him to be positive, to be positive, to be positive, to be positive. Your negative attitude isn't needed in this community. And I'm thinking, well, first of all, his story, there's something in there that needs to be taken care of, and it's not. And he's reaching out to try to get this thing that's been going on for 3 years taken care of. And then they're sending me a message going, do you know him? And I'm like, not really, but I'm not deleting his message because he evidently has some strong feelings. And so I literally sent that message to one of the city council people, and I'm like, this is why we can't have nice things. You know, like, take care of this, do something, figure out what's going on here with this person. But then I did another comment, and the same thing happened. And next thing I know, I'm never doing that, this and that, not going there, doing that. It's the same thing. And so my daughter comes home and she goes, oh my gosh, my friend loves your positive comments. And I said, what do you mean? And she goes, well, he knows that anytime you put something positive about Topeka, this guy's going to come in and talk about, he just waits. He goes, it's like he copy and pasted. It's the same thing. And they call him the parking ticket guy. And they're like, the parking ticket guy. And I'm like, yeah, but he has a real problem. Like, he really does. His friend has a real problem and needs to be solved. Right. And I'm not going to look at him because he's being negative. I'm not looking at this.
When something bad's happened to you, guess what? You're gonna be negative about it.
Correct. So I was negative on Facebook because we had a huge, horrible thing that's happened to our family that involved the city and all that kind of stuff. And so I put a comment on there.
You should consider. I'm not kidding. I'm not going to give any substance, but you should consider putting them on blast.
Yes.
Right here as a separate excursion.
And I have to wait because there's legal stuff going on. People sign stuff, but I didn't sign anything. So that's why I made a comment to start out with. And it was very negative, and it was negative towards the city. And I'm always positive towards our city because I work really hard to push us forward. And so the comment came from him. So like all my people are agreeing with me, and a comment comes from him and says, let me get this straight. Kim can bash our city and be okay, but when I bash the city, I'm told by all of your people to be positive. So she doesn't have to be positive, but I do.
It's as simple as are you pirating what do you call it? The hijacking the post, right?
And that's what I told him. And that was my reply. So if you're on my Facebook, you can read all of this. But all I said was, when I post something positive about a business that I'm promoting and supporting, and you come into my positive post bringing your negative attitude, you're going to be attacked on my Facebook.
If nothing else, because people are supporting your main post.
Correct. It's like, why are you getting into that? Like, we're really sorry that this happened to you, but she literally is having a good day and you're bringing her down.
I've done that before accidentally and then felt bad about it.
Yeah, like I did.
I'm like, oh, you know what? You're right. I don't know what I was doing. Sorry. I'll remove that. He's like, you don't have to remove that. I'm like, no, I will.
Probably,
thank you.
Yeah. Well, we all catch it. I've done it the other day. Someone made a post about something and I responded to it. And she goes, well, it was actually just a joke and I was doing this, and I'm thinking, I'm reading all your comments and there's nothing to joke about this. I didn't take my comment down because it was just explaining something, but I took it seriously when she was just trying to be funny, and I was like, and I don't really do that often, but it just caught me that day. Sometimes I'm a little mischievous. So anyway, I believe that the two people, you have to look at yourself and you have to say, am I more positive, and do I look for the positive?
Yeah.
And I totally believe that, but I don't believe that you always have to be positive.
Absolutely not. Can I go into some studies I found?
You go for it.
Because I think they're gonna go across this one article. This is in an article called "The Downside of Positivity." This is by Kate Sweeney in February 17, the psychologist. This is by the British Psychology Association, and they said, positivity versus optimism specifically. Optimism specifically did lead to things like better health and better relationships and greater success and longer lives, like happy people. And even temporarily optimistic is good. We're not trying to bash, positivity in general. Just have to try to understand that sometimes it's actually kind of fake and not what is actually really helpful for you. Another thing that's interesting is that there's, and it's just kind of related, but it's resignation. Resignation can be very bad for you, especially in a health situation. Basically, this is something you can think of if you got a health situation and you lose your fight,
right?
Like you lose your inner fight. So there were studies about even back during the AIDS crisis and whether some part of the group of them went to realistic acceptance.
Right.
Well, they literally died twice as quick as the other people, like 6 months versus a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's that. So when someone says, well, that's all that positivity. Yeah, but again, part of it is trying not to do the opposite. Is what the relationship there too. And also something that's positive about negativity is sometimes when you brace for the worst, like, I think that bar exam went really bad, which is literally one of the studies. Then when the moment arrives, if the bad did happen, you'll accept it a lot easier.
That is exactly me.
Like, and that's more like being. What's that more like? It's more like you're not painting a false picture in your head. Like if you kind of have a sense of how that test went, and if you suddenly are going, "I'm sure it's great," guess who's going to feel really sad when they fail? Now the other person's not going to feel great, but they will have already kind of put themselves up for that.
Well, I always think I'm going to jinx myself. I'm like, you're going to jinx yourself. So, you know what? I don't think I did my best on that test. Oh my God, I got an A!
And so they call that worrywarts deal with bad outcomes better than carefree types. And then they're also more thrilled over good outcomes. So that's not to say, when something has happened or something kind of out of your control at this moment, like you took the bar, you're not going to find out for 2 months. So you can just, party the whole time, or you're just waiting, So at that point,
you said worrywart. Do you think some people listening to this podcast even know what a worrywart is?
It was literally in the article. That was a funny thing.
I was going to say, because worrywart is somebody that worries. When you said that, I'm like, I know what that is, but I like to pick up, like, people be like,
maybe it's more
like a wart? Like warts worry? Why don't you get some cream and put some cream on it?
In the field of health, they said, well, what do you think of positivity there? In this context of your podcast today and the subject, in the field of your own health, which is better?
You want to be positive. You always want to me, wouldn't you want to be like, I can get through this?
Yes and no, but I just mean general day-to-day health. You already said something earlier, like, man, I'm not that fat. Right. That's the bad version of it. But if you're like really concerned, you're like, man, I'm eating a lot of bacon. I'm going to die. I better do something about it.
Yeah.
So that's what they're saying there. It's more motivating if you got kind of a negative, because again, it's back to what are the possible risks. And if you're just kind of going, life is great, I'm sure I'll be all right. That you're just kind of being carefree and you're not doing the types of things that you might otherwise do.
And I think that has to do with what I was saying here, is if you keep telling yourself these falsehoods, and then they don't do you any good later on.
Yeah, exactly. So some of these correlate to those broader ideas. In relationships, they say paranoia. I called it paranoia. They didn't say that. But it's better to kind of be negative instead of the whole, I'm sure everything's great in the relationship, right? Like there's a couple articles where one study was about newlyweds and how well they did, and those women who thought, oh, he's the most handsome, he's so organized, and so again though those relationships didn't last as long. And why? Because they weren't painting the accurate picture of their partner,
right? And
then those people who did paint the better, more clear picture are the ones who then could get through a stressful situation more. They tend to support them better in stressful situations. And similarly, then, we'll say, well, I want to be generous, I want to be forgiving. So you're in a relationship, want to be generous, you want to be forgiving. Well, that works if there aren't very many problems.
Right.
But if you're too generous and too forgiving, it's more like what you were talking about when you were married. Right? It's like, then that masks things so they don't address the problems, or someone stays in an abusive relationship, or that type of a thing, right?
Right.
So that's, again, where positivity sometimes it works if things are going great.
Right.
But if it's not accurate as to what reality actually is, and that's not great. And then as you said, I don't actually think we covered it, but we did at least touch on it. It's like, oh, don't worry, just be positive. That can be, even if it's a positive friend, people can find that annoying, right? It's because it seems like you're invalidating. And that's where people get mixed up on social media.
That's a big word right there, invalidating. That's when someone tells you, and when you're having a bad day and then they don't read you correctly and they're just like, oh, come on, just be positive.
Well, but some people mix it up, like you were saying about hijacking. When you're just trying to say, listen, being positive is good for you. And that's the general meme. And then someone goes, wow, my life isn't so great that you can just. It's like, okay, I gotcha, but that wasn't really the point of the meme.
Yeah, meme of be happy, just accept everything that's been and be happy.
If you had gone through, I did. It's like,
I did this, and people this died, and I was like, whoa,
I got it.
whoa,
That's not what I wasn't trying to invalidate anything specific.
Yeah.
I was just saying, guess what? If you wake up with a thought, oh well, it's a great day, and you know what? I'm happy to have a roof over my head, and I've got a job, and I've been there for 2.5 years now, and last week was pretty good, as opposed to crap.
Right.
You know what? Last week went like heck, and I should be making double what I made.
Yeah,
and it's
nobody
cold.
appreciates me.
That's the difference, and there is a distinction in your general outlook and how you feel between one or the other.
Exactly.
But then they said that not only are those people who are too positive, like in that type of thing, very positive people seem to misread other people because they're so positive all the time themselves, right?
Yes.
So they misread other people, and even though because they're so positive, I mean, they're great, they think that they read them well.
Right.
Right? They believe that they've read them well, but their positivity is affecting their ability to understand other people's not being as positive. And similarly, it can even be an indicator of emotional impairment if they feel positive when they should be brought down. Like, oh, old Yeller died. That's okay. It's a great day. Or a loved one suffering, and then people who are positive doesn't mean they're specifically emotionally impaired. That's not what that means. It just means sometimes when someone's really like not very good, it's almost like it's bad empathy. They're just saying there could be some emotional impairment, more likely among those people who don't get brought down by things that would bring most people down, right? Because they're like not even properly unhappy.
Right.
They're happy all the time.
Yeah.
And then it can even be an indicator, only an indicator, not a definite yes or no of poor day-to-day functioning. Let me see what I wanted to see here. Shall we pause? No, we shall not pause. I can get through on that. Here's a quote from one of them. People who strive hard for happiness set themselves up for failure and often end up more miserable than their less happiness-obsessed counterparts.
Right.
So it's what we said earlier. It's that should not be like, oh, am I happy today? What about now? What about now? What about now? Am I happy? Oh, no, I'm not happy. I should be happy. Why am I not? What's wrong with me? Right? So another point is something, and this is kind of it's just the similar points is, as we just said, don't let happiness be the big goal, right? Like you're working on things and doing little habits like waking up and appreciating, like what you said.
Gratitude. Be grateful.
Look at this. I mean, we may not be palatial, but you got a nice little setup here, down here in the studio. We got Christmas trees over there. We've got shelves of decorations. I mean, have a little gratitude, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't it's not supposed to be that's your main goal, right? And then if you're measuring against it all the time instead of just being, then won't that make you observe that you're less than your perfect goal all the time? And, like bad thought. Damn it, be happy. Why do people always think I'm happy? Why do people think that I need to be happy? They don't know. It's like relax, okay? Just relax and be a little bit. You're too goal oriented if being happy all the time. But can we do a quick aside on? Wait a second. There's a study called "Feeling Bad About Being Sad: The Role of Social Expectancies in Amplifying Negative Mood."
Okay.
So. But can we do a quick side on great positivity moments in cinema history?
What is that?
I'm not going to get the delivery right because I haven't seen this in ever. You may have to bleep this out. I think you're all effed in the head. We're 10 hours from the effing fun park and you want to bail out? Well, I'll tell you something. This is no longer a vacation. It's a quest. It's a quest for fun. I'm going to have fun and you're going to have fun. We're all going to have so much effing fun. We'll need plastic surgery to remove our goddamn smiles. You'll be whistling zippity doodah out of your assholes. I gotta be crazy. I'm on a pilgrimage to see a moose. Praise Marty Moose. Holy shit. Rusty. Dad, you want an aspirin? Don't touch.
I love that show.
So, but what's the idea?
Yeah, like, they're going to be freaking positive.
We're going to force happiness.
Yeah, we're happy.
Damn it. We're going to be. And I've always loved that idea that he was so pissed that people weren't happy. So what did we say earlier? Don't force happiness, right?
Right.
What I want to say on this one. Yeah, positive encouragement that focuses on goals and finding opportunities for improvement, however, can open up our minds and to options and alternatives, right? But yet, positive affirmations, people with low self-esteem. So this is one of these strategies, right? But it's not really the same thing as gratitude.
No.
Like, what's a positive affirmation? I am a happy person and people like me. I am a popular person. Well, guess what people with low self-esteem think? No, I'm not. So that becomes like kind of a weird, and you will see those in some of the self-help books, because you want to see what you are, so you put it in present tense, right? And even with, and it's kind of weird, I'm not necessarily saying this is self-esteem, but I've always thought they want you to put it in present tense. It's like, I have a beautiful Sportster out in my driveway, and I'm thinking, no, I don't. It's hard to get past it, but not to that. But it's related to that idea, but especially as to what type of a person you are, how successful you are. People with low self-esteem, that's actually bad for them. Isn't that weird?
Well, and so when I have affirmations that I do every morning, because I have not been able to get my manifesto done yet. So I have a YouTube video that has it's like 10 minutes of affirmations where it's like, I will take all the money in the world. I will do this. And so there are ones that you're supposed to say to actually improve your self-esteem. Yeah. But for the first 5 times, you are exactly right. You're like, I don't have a care in the world. Really? I don't have a care in the world? Well, I have this. I have to get...
It's one of those you got to stick to it. I mean, there is a plan. But I was just pointing out that that's what one of the articles said, that those with low self-esteem, that can actually almost be bad for them, the self-affirmations, because they see the contradiction there.
Right,
so just for what it's worth. And negative thinking tends to narrow our focus. So as to, hey, we're not trying to say negative thinking is good.
No,
as far as a general habit in cases, but sometimes there's a mixture of, in some small cases, because what does it do? And I told you about that work experience over the weekend. Right. It narrows our focus. It blocks out other options. So we feel like we don't have any options. We end up stuck in the negativity without finding a way forward. Like it's all we can think about because we're so mad. We're so negative at the time.
Well, and the universe throws
both specifically in the instance, and if it's your broad habit.
Right.
Exactly. If it's your broad habit.
Exactly. I always tell people, because I've got a couple people that it's just, I mean, it is just, this sucks. This sucks. I'm like, oh, you know what? As long as you continue to only think about negativity, that's all that's thrown at you. And when positive comes your way, you're so blinded by the negativity that it bounces off and you don't even see it. You don't grasp it. So you've got to open your eyes and open your mind.
It's almost like you're Teflon to the positivity.
Exactly. So, and this has nothing to do with not being positive, because being positive is healthier for you if it's genuine, if it's real. So to answer this to me, is positive something that you have to work on, or does it just come?
I think it can be developed like any skill. And unfortunately, what happens, and it can happen unconsciously. Sometimes positivity can happen unconsciously for people, but negativity certainly can be developed unconsciously.
Right. I think,
and it's a matter of, you're supposed to be realistic, and that's good enough for you, and that's what happened in the past, and you've never done anything that's big.
Right.
That becomes a blocking pattern, right? But another place where they said limitations of positive thinking are business, like when people are overly positive, like they're not, again, what is that about? It's accurate perceptions of your business.
Right.
Like you need to evaluate and understand, and a proper plan is something that where you do reevaluate, you continue to have those small, all those types of positive thinkers that are giving advice on business, they don't say, "Oh, just have a dream and eventually you'll get it." I mean, they're
there's structure.
There's structure to it, right? There's reevaluation at some point,
right?
Making new midpoints or new intermediate steps. There's all of that,
right?
But those people are just, hey, you know what? It's a great day to be in business. I think of Michael Scott,
right.
Off The Office. Yes. But then, and I think this is just an aside note, but multi-level marketing. Mm-hmm. I know it's a naughty word. I'm making it sound like, but sometimes it is, because they really just try to, you know what? You can do it. Just go read Zig Ziglar, right. And then entrepreneurs, you got to be careful, right? Because entrepreneurs are just too positive and are not. But again, it goes back to: are you accurately looking at the world? Are you letting this positivity? Oh, we can do this. And I think banks, honestly, prey on that because because it's like, hey, as long as you can pay us for about 5 years, we're good.
Yeah.
And then you'll go out of business, and that's good for us too.
Right.
But if you don't have a really good business plan, you'll have 2 or 3 or 4 years. We'll make money off of it. We made most of the money to begin with, out of nothing. So good for you if you're positive. Go get them.
Yes, you
go
can
get them,
do
pal.
It. It's
go
great.
Get them. But it says, negativity is bad for our health. And that's why you're going earlier before you understood the more of the subcategory.
Yeah.
It suppresses your immune system. It causes extra stress. It raises your blood pressure.
Right.
The whole cortisol thing, So, that said, there was one study that found that people in negative moods can produce better quality and more persuasive arguments than people in a positive mood. Negative moods can also improve memory and mental accuracy, and other research suggests that negative thinking might prompt us to think more carefully. Mm-hmm. And that could be because, you think of all the possible things that could go wrong.
Right.
Or you think of why people, they're probably going to come back and not agree with me. So, it makes you tighten up your argument.
Well, you also get your argument ready. So you've got, I always, when I go in someplace for a meeting, and I'm going way out there, I have to have every question already answered before I walk in that meeting. So when they try to blindside me, I can go, nope, and I can hand it. Nope, here you go. Nope, this is how it is. Because I want to know ahead of time. So you do work, and there's nothing positive about that. Positive to be like, I'm going to go in there, and they're just going to love what I have to say. And they're just going to say, go for it, Kim. But the negative part goes like this. These people are grouchy. I've met them before. They think they're better than me. So I'm going to have all this stuff done, and they're going to be like, well, what about this? Here's the answer. Oh, and what about this? Oh, so you've thought of all of it. Yes. So you would have to be like, the positive comes out at the end when you have successfully left the meeting in a positive way. But you are correct. The negative, there's nothing positive about overworking, because you could walk in and they could be like, we love it. And you're like, oh no, I spent 3 hours gathering data. You better ask me some questions.
Well, but I mean, and that moment, that point they made could be more the momentary. Like you have a half an hour to come up with an argument.
Right.
I mean, there's plenty of room for positivity as you have to come up for over a course of 2 weeks and try to figure out your presentation.
Correct. Yeah.
That's kind of a different situation. They're probably thinking just short term, I want you to make a presentation on this. You don't have a lot of time. And someone's like, oh, this is going to be great. It's not as detail oriented. So another thing they had was that defensive pessimism works, because they work extra hard to ensure that the possible negative outcomes don't come to pass.
Right.
And regardless of a person's disposition, researchers suggest it might be better to acknowledge negative emotions instead of denying them.
Exactly.
Right? And then let them pass. So this becomes...
That was your weekend.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Because if that would have happened to you and you wouldn't have accepted it,
I would have exploded on Monday.
Then Monday would have come around. You still would have been pissed off about it, but you allowed you. And you did, probably like me.
Totally accidentally, because it must have been just enough that it really needed to come out. Because I wouldn't normally necessarily exercise that.
But that's probably because you're hanging around me. I'm a positive influence.
Yeah.
No, but to go through it, I'm OCD when it comes to a situation like that. If that would have happened to me for 2 days, I would have ran the entire thing through my thing, and I'd have been mad, and then I would have justified it. Then I would have gone to their viewpoint, and then I would have gone over here, and then by Monday, I'd just been so tired of it. I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm probably really lucky it happened on a Friday.
Yeah.
That I at least saw that momentarily. What happened is I saw part of it, and that's where I said I wasn't even fully informed. I let my mind race back to a previous situation. Then I saw the rest of it. By that time, I had a chance to cool down. I talked to, I'm not kidding you, 3 different people about it, about how upset I was. That was besides venting on social media.
Right.
So, I was pretty bothered by it.
But what you did was correct, because when you're in a negative mood, the best thing to do is to get it out, because the more times your brain hears it, the more times it has to fix it and for you to understand it and to fill in the blanks.
So they said an emerging style of psychotherapy called acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, suggests we should accept the negative thoughts are guaranteed to come up. Instead of devoting energy to suppressing negativity, we should concentrate on identifying and committing to our values, even amidst a swarm of negative thoughts. And I always think it's a fine line, because I'm going to be a little bit controversial here, because I do think that it becomes a problem sometimes, and people can agree or not. Sorry, I might be alienating some people, but that's part of this podcast.
That's right.
Is that if you
we're trying to alienate y'all,
man. If you delve with what happened to you 25 years for another 10 years by talking about it all the time in a therapy office,
right? I
don't know how productive that is, and I would say it's not.
I would too.
But this is, by definition, supposed a little different. Get it out, get it over with, get it done. So that's not necessarily what I'm saying.
Right.
But it just seems like some of psychotherapy is, let's keep going back further. Oh,
right.
Well, let's see what else is the reason you're mad today. And it's like, maybe just you today is a part of the reason you're mad today.
Exactly.
We don't need to. And then I just thought it was interesting that one of the recent studies on positive health effects of positivity was published nearby over at KU in Lawrence.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that was called Optimism in Physical Health, a meta-analytic review. So I thought that was interesting. Granted, that was in 2009, but I still thought it was interesting that it was right back in
right here,
KU.
yeah.
And otherwise, I had my summary and extra thoughts on one other thing. So, and I think we covered probably a lot of these. And some of this is almost like strategies I'm sure you've read in some of these books. And I just kind of just pulled out of my head, probably because I've read plenty of those books too, but I don't have the organization of a particular book.
Okay, we're going to hold on. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back after this commercial, and then we'll finish, okay? Well, it's that time of the year when we are overbooked and not enough time in the day to get all the fun things done. Holiday season is here, and do I have a great way to help you connect with family, friends, and even clients? Greeting cards used to be huge before technology came in and made so many things very impersonable. Then my friend Cody Bateman came up with a great product that would bring sexy back. Oh, wait, that was Justin Timberlake. Cody brought back greeting cards with a twist. Using an app from your phone, tablet, laptop, or computer, you can make a personalized greeting card for less than $5, including the printing, the stuffing the envelope, and postage. You just download our app on your phone, set up an account, and start changing the world one card at a time. Now that alone is awesome, but it doesn't stop there. You can also send gifts, like brownies, jewelry, toys, and much more, just with one click. My team would love to show you how to use the app and get you started today. This is also a great business tool to help build relationships, so everyone needs this app on their phone. The app is free, and you only have to pay for the cards and gifts you send. We do have monthly packages that bring the total of your heartfelt cards down to around $1.50. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description of this podcast and get started today. You can also email us, and we will set up a meeting to show you how easy it is to send personalized greeting cards. You can also send us your mailing address in our Facebook page, Selfie Cards Matter. We will send you a card. Let us help you make this holiday season the best one yet. Welcome back, everyone. So, given some thought, we've already decided that we're going to divide this show into 2 different episodes. So we've continued it. We have some more positive and negative stuff that we're going to talk about.
Okay, gotcha. So what you're saying is that we're telling people that we did continue.
Yeah,
we had
did
such
continue.
A good conversation.
Yes.
And we did. I agree. So I like. We just had a lot of stuff to talk about, but also realized this would be a super long episode, so we might as well split it into two.
Exactly. And we got the holidays coming, so we've got to do a couple in advance anyway. So this is going to be awesome because next week you can hear more about our conversation with Positive Negative. You can hear a little bit about my life. We talked about my life a little bit, and of course, you talked something about smiling. I never smile, so.
Physiology of smiling. And how that relates to positive versus either true positive or false positives. Or some kind of marijuana test. I don't know.
False.
That's a false positive.
The false positive
What's the excuse? Can't you take something that'll give you a false positive?
Like a kind bar. They used to say
totally kind
bars.
Sure, man.
Military.
Hey, man.
Don't eat the kind bars. They're giving you false because like poppy seed. I don't know. There's something.
Yeah, there you go. The poppy bread.
The poppy seed buns or something.
Yeah. But that's not exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
But the point is that there's a lot of things. We're going to continue this conversation. We have continued it. Like it. Just a great place to split it up right here. Right. On, being positive is important. When is it helpful? When is it actually, in some cases, not broadly over your life, some cases having a more negative or pessimistic outlook can be helpful in certain situations.
Right.
And so we'll talk about things like that, including the physiology of smiling.
Yes, and I'm known for smiling. So a lot of people, and I'm getting ready to actually do a whole entire meme because I do memes and I got to finish my Business on the Beach series. But my photographer just took this really amazing picture of me and I'm laughing because the whole time she kept going, I'm going to need you to laugh. I need you to laugh because it's your laugh that everyone knows. And so I've got this awesome picture of me that I'm going to do a set of memes.
I'd be like, what do you want? I'd be like, come on, man. That would be, yeah.
Yeah, so that's I love the smile thing. That was pretty cool. That was awesome.
You're gonna like that part, I think, when we do that when you hear it next week.
Yeah. So everyone, thank you so much for giving us your time. We appreciate you as our listeners, and we're excited to keep doing our show. We're having a good time. Don't forget to make comments in our Facebook group, Chemology 411, and if you have not joined, I'm a little perturbed with you. Come on.
But in a positive
perturbed.
way. Yeah, I also
positively perturbed.
Can tell you that I am positive due to Pop-Tarts.
Right my goodness, he did find a good deal on Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, so I hope you didn't hear me chewing too much there.
And his snack. He kills me. All right, thanks, Tyson, for helping make Chemology 411 so awesome. We will talk to everyone soon, and please make sure to keep going on all your adventures. Bye-bye.